Hey, what's up everyone? It's Raj from the Injury Insight. Today's topic, I'll be going through Markelle Fultz free throw form and explaining some of the pain and movement science that I believe is contributing to his variation in form in his most recent iteration. So, Markelle's been dealing with free throw issues for a minute, jumper issues for a minute, right? So this is way back when. You can see there's a big hitch right when he's trying to come overhead. And it's not a great result. It doesn't look good. The outcome isn't good at all either. Here's another example of that. Again, you can see that hitch. Now, recently, we saw him double clutch at the free throw line. And when I first saw that, I wasn't really sure what was going on. And you'll see it again right here. The first free throw, he actually did it a little bit. But then on the second one, it was really overt and obvious. It got a lot of tension. But then recently, we saw him do this new kind of movement where he's juggling the ball back and forth before he shoots. To understand why, we got to understand a little bit behind what pain is and pain science. So pain is really an experience. It's not just if you get hit and then you feel pain, right? Pain, to understand what that is, there's this picture right here. So you get input from your body. It kind of filters through a bunch of different things, including your past experiences and things like that. And then you have an output based on that. When we say pain is an experience, it's multifactorial. So that picture is pretty dense, but I created this quick little run through here to help explain this idea of input-outputs better. So what I'm doing here is, first thing I'm going to do is draw the brain. This little peanut, then you have the brain stem below it. So now, the brain, it receives inputs. These inputs consist of your 5 senses, which are touch, taste, smell, hearing, and vision. There's other inputs as well, such as proprioception. Proprioception is a system that provides feedback to your brain. If you close your eyes and you move your hands and wrists around, that's proprioception, telling your brain where those body parts are in space. There's little receptors in our joints that do that. Another type of input is called interoception. That is a feeling of our internal regulation of our bodies, whether it's from our organs or other aspects. So then what happens is these inputs go up into the brain, and then the brain has to process them. And the way it processes it, if you remember back to the past picture, it's through past experiences, right? It's through past expectations. So essentially everyone has a certain filter through which, or lens through which, they process these inputs. That's why people will react and have different reactions to different events, because it all gets filtered through their own specific lens. Now, based on that processing, the brain has to make one decision. Remember, the brain's role is to keep itself alive. That's its evolutionary task. So it's processing these inputs through its past expectations, experiences, etc., and it decides, okay, is this dangerous? Yes or no? So that's the key function of the brain. That's the first thing on its mind, survival. Is this input or movement or whatever dangerous? Yes or no? And then based on that, remember this is all happening extremely quickly. You have outputs like anxiety, like tension, sweating, irritability, which is part of that stress response, emotional output, And then lastly, you have pain as well. And so what can happen is a lot of times, pain is actually the body's alert signal saying, hey, chill out, don't do this motion. The problem becomes over time, what can happen is that even though, let's say you have an injury and the injury is medically healed, the brain still interprets that certain motion or that area as in danger, so that it still sends out that pain signal. So in Markelle's case, I believe it all started with an injury. I wrote about this over a year ago, so it's not just I'm not acting brand new. Is that he kept having pain with that motion. So now, even though everything's healed now, the brain still interprets that overhead motion with his jump shot as painful. Therefore, as he comes up, he starts to have some of those mental negative feedback loops, and you see a lot of inconsistency. So what's he doing to deal with that? In this video, you can see what he's doing is he's adding a new kind of stimulus. He's trying to break up that old motor pattern. So he does this flicking. One, it changes the context of the movement, so his brain's not like, yo, that's really painful. Secondly, it's almost rhythmic, so he's not focusing as much internally on his mechanics, called internal cueing, which is known to mess up anyone's shot, let alone his. So, with that basis in mind, with the pain and movement science, I believe he's trying to add a new stimulus to break up some of those conditioned patterns, conditioned pain that he's feeling. There's a whole branch of this called chronic pain, where individuals who are now medically clear, quote unquote, still feel pain. I've seen it over and over again. I believe that's what we're seeing with Markelle here, but I'm very encouraged by the fact that he's trying to get through some of those by using some of these common techniques to try to break up some of those associations in patterns. So that does it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, you can follow me at 3CB Performance. Check out the Injury Insight for more articles. For clinical help, or if you just want to check out my clinical site, it's 3cbperformance.com. Until next time.